everyone, welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be a DIY all the time Little Mermaid inspired costume. Just keep in mind it is inspired, so I'm not going to be making an exact replica, so I won't be making the shell bra, nor will I be making the tail, just because if I wanted to go into that much detail I would have to sew a lot of pieces together, and I just really wanted to make something that everybody can replicate. So the things you will need: 2 yards of green satin fabric, 1 yard of green glittery tulle, and another yard of purple glittery tulle. You really don't need 1 yard of the purple, you actually even need less. You also need a purple bralette and a purple jewel. You'll also be needing some scissors, a glue gun, yarn or string, and some measuring tape. Alright, so we are first going to work on the tail, air quotes around tail. So it's going to be more like a hip scarf or a wrap. So to begin, all you want to do is grab your 2 yards of satin fabric and fold it in half. Then you want to measure your waist or your hips depending where you want the wrap to begin. And then my measurements are 36 inches. So what you want to do is grab your measuring tape and place it at the corner of the fold, not at the flap, but the fold of your fabric. And then you're going to measure it down from the corner to your waist size, and then add an extra 6 to 8 inches, and that's what you're going to use to tie the wrap together. So here I already pre-cut it, that's why I have my 36 inches plus the additional, I think, 7 inches here. I went up from 36 to 43, so mine's already pre-cut, so I'm ready to go. But as soon as you have your measurements, just cut it to your measurements, again adding an additional 6 to 8 inches. And then after that, you're just gonna flip your fabric inside out. So you just want to make sure that the shiny part of your fabric is on the inside and the flat matte color is on the outside, just because you are gonna glue the edges together and then flip it inside out. So once you do flip your fabric inside out, then begin to glue down all of your edges, just leaving an additional 3 to 4 inches at the end so you have a sufficient amount just to turn your fabric inside out. Alright, after turning that fabric inside out, just a reminder, you do want to focus on those corners just to make sure that each one has a nice tip and point to them. After that, you just want to glue down the rest of your fabric, just those 3 to 4 inches that you left free hanging just to turn your fabric inside out. Afterwards, that's pretty much it. Just fold your square in half and then you'll form this little triangle here, and that's pretty much your wrap. The next step will just be to grab your green tulle and cut it to the size of your wrap. So you can either just leave it as a layover on top of the wrap, or you can glue it on top of your satin material. I preferably will not be gluing it down just because I want the flowiness of the tulle and the satin. I don't want it to just be stuck to one another. So that's pretty much your wrap there, just tied around your waist. It's just a shame that in person these two fabrics together look so nice and so elegant that it just doesn't pick up on the camera. Here it's me trying to show you how nice it looks, but just trust me, it looks so nice when both of them are overlaying on top of one another. Next, we're going to work on the top half of the costume, so you want to grab your bralette and the tulle. So your first step will be to measure the bralette, so you want to measure both the width and the length, and here the width is 5.5 inches by 13.5 inches. So before measuring and cutting out your tulle, you want to make sure you first layer the tulle. So mine is going to be 4 layers, and if you want your bow to be a little bit stiffer, go ahead and add a few extra layers on there. So once you have measured out your layers, just grab your measuring tape and measure your 5.5 inches or the width of your bralette. So here I just made a little mark, and then you can cut out the length of your bralette. Here I'm just going to town and cutting directly from one end to the other, just for my preference, so if I want to go back and use a tool later, it'll be even. So once you have that cut out, just go back and make sure that all of your edges are free. So that's what I'm doing here, just cutting up those folds. Alright, now the following step will just be to cut out the length. I know I did measure the 13.5 inches, but here I'm just placing the bralette right on the table and just cutting from there. Now the following step is just to form the bow itself. Alright, now to form the bow, all you want to do is just pinch the end of one edge and continue to grab and pull the fabric to that pinch. I hope I explained that well enough. I am going to show you again, just bear with me. I do just want to remind you that this is the part where you are going to need your string. So if you have fairly thin string, you just want to overlay it and overlap it a good 8 to 10 times because you need it to be fairly thick so that it'll hold the bow in place. Okay, I am going to try to explain it again to the best of my abilities. I hope the video does help with my directions. So what you want to do is grab the edge of the fabric in the center, of course, and then from there you're just going to begin to pinch and grab the fabric until you get from one end to the other. Once you have formed that bow, what you want to do is mess with those ruffles on the side, just because one side may not be identical to the other, or you just might want to adjust it to your preference. Once you have completed the bow to your liking, all you want to do is grab that string that you had set aside and wrap it around your bow a good 8 to 10 times, or basically as many times as it can. Then you can either tie the strings together, but I will just be adding a dab of glue on the back of the bow. And then don't do what I did here. I added the glue and then I turned it around on the tablecloth without letting it dry, so it got stuck to the tablecloth. Just let it dry if you're going to add the glue. So the following step will just be to grab your little purple jewel and place it in the center. That'll just take care of covering up that string. Now lastly, you're just going to place it on your bralette and glue it down. Not sure why, but it cut off when I glued down the bralette, so I'm just going to explain what I did here. So you want to place it in the center. You're going to see me cut off a little excess just because I thought it was a little too long on one side. And then once you do have it down to where you want it to be, you're going to glue down your bow on the center of the bralette, right behind the jewel, and then on both edges, because if you don't glue down those edges, it'll look like it'll begin to sag and flap down when you wear it. So afterwards, just add your red headband or your red bow, and there you have your inspired Little Mermaid costume. I just had to make something Little Mermaid themed just because she is my favorite Disney princess. I hope you like it, and please subscribe.